So if my panelists are in here, please come on up. I'm going to call up Terry McCaffrey. Wave your hand, no? Okay, there you go. And Terry's from EFI. We have Steve Murray from Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. Steve. Samantha Diamont, Veterans Florida. That's Samantha. Okay, so she's from Veterans Florida Agricultural Program participant. And then Alex Adames, Legends Airways. Greg Tudor. Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. All right, so we have all the panelists here. Feel free to have a seat. Hello, are you our moderator? All right, and this panel is going to be moderated by Ingrid Morales from Boeing. You want my mic? Okay, here. It's yours, it's yours. Good, okay. Perfect.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ingrid Piedrahita Morales, and I'm the community investor for the Boeing Company, focused on programming here in Florida. Today we have a really amazing panel on the hottest industries and job markets in Florida, and we're going to be talking about Florida's veteran-specific state benefits and learn about Florida's quality of life for you and your family. Before we dive into our panel introductions, I just wanted to take a temperature of the room. How many of you folks are veterans? Nice. Anybody a current service member? Great. Is there anybody from out of state? Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Our goal today is that wherever you are in your career or your transition, that you walk away with something new, a career idea, a benefit that you didn't know about, and something that will really enrich your life, your family, and your community. So for the format, I just wanted to give you a little idea of what we can expect. We're going to do introductions. Everybody will go through and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll kick off the conversation with some questions, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us. That sound good? Yes. Okay. All right, let's get started. You want to start? Sure.
Hello, everybody. I'm Terry McCaffrey. I am the Vice President of Military and Defense Programs at Enterprise Florida in Tallahassee. Since Joe told you he was a West Pointer, I'll tell you I graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy, so beat Navy and Army, and we usually do, so that's cool. I spent 26 years after the Academy, mostly flying fighters in the Air Force, and retired out of ROTC Command at Florida State University, which was also pretty cool, and so happy to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Murray. I'm also a retired Air Force. I'm in Tallahassee. For the last 16 years, I've been the Communications and External Affairs Director for the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. And when we think of Veterans Affairs in our respective states, we think of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the elephant in the room with the medical centers and the outpatient clinics and the vet centers and all the different things that they have with the GI Bill program and stuff like that. But each state and territory also has its own unique State Department of Veterans Affairs. Our role is to connect you with earned benefits, services, and support, whether it's a federal, state, county, or city benefit. That's our role, and we'll hear more about that later on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Samantha Diarman. I was a veteran Florida Gulf Coast agriculture participant. I recently finished my fellowship in March. I did 4 years with the Army in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I separated back in 2018 and will be soon resuming college with the University of South Florida in Tampa.
Good afternoon, Alex Adames. I just retired June 1st from the Air Force. I am now a first officer at Legends Airways, and I'm happy to be here.
Good afternoon. My name's Greg Tudor. I am a Regional Veterans Program Coordinator for Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. I oversee and monitor the Veterans Program across Central Florida. I'm a veteran of the Marine Corps, and I'm just very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I feel the need to say my husband was in the Air Force because I didn't mention my connection. Okay, so let's get into it with our first question. So a lot of states try to attract veterans and service members. What do you think makes Florida different from others? And I'll open this to Terry, Greg, or Steve.
Sure, I'll start. I always kind of talk, one of the roles that we do is try to gain more active duty assets to the state of Florida. And so whenever I go up to the Pentagon or talk to the services, talk about quality of life and other aspects that make you want to be in Florida. So especially so we try to gain, for example, Space Force assets. And there's a potential to go to either Florida, potentially Colorado or California. And we talk about where those bases are located. And you say, if I gave your people an opportunity to pick which one, would they choose Florida? And the answer is almost 100% yes. So when you were in the military, a lot of you are veterans, you wanted that assignment to Florida. So what we do is we hope you get that assignment to Florida, and then if you decide to transition while you're in that assignment, that you never leave. And if you do leave, that when wherever you end up, you remember that assignment in Florida and want to come back to Florida. And so I think that's an important aspect of, it's not salesmanship. I mean, somebody else said you get to live where other people want to come on vacation. That's absolutely true. I thought of that kind of when I was stationed in Hawaii, is do you want to come back to Hawaii? And it has the same kind of vibe, but it's also way far away, right? So Florida is Hawaii, but it's here. And so you get to be on vacation when you're not at work. And then my first job after I got out of the military was with the Florida Park Service. And so you get to, if you don't know about the Florida Park Service and the Florida parks, 174 units, 4-time gold medalists for for state parks as the best park systems in the country. So they also have more visitation in our park service and our park system than Disney gets in a year. So those kind of things is what I say is why Florida is different, why you want to be here, why you should be here, not let alone the business climate and all the other good things for reasons to be here.
The 50 states and territories are competing against each other for you and your family members. And we belong to a parent organization called the National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs. And we share best practices. We look for gaps in services, but more importantly, we look for bragging rights. We all want to proclaim ourselves the most veteran-friendly state in the nation. So we look at all the benefits and services out there that the state can provide. We don't want to duplicate a federal service because that wouldn't be good for taxpayers, but we want to fill gaps where the federal government doesn't provide something. And then we want to create state legislation to make sure that we reach out to all veterans and then reach those veterans that have typically been hard to bring into the fold. Our almost 500,000 Vietnam-era veterans who are in need of services, exposure to toxins and Agent Orange. And then there's another group. We have the second largest population of women veterans in the nation, about 164,000 women veterans in Florida. And many of those women veterans do not self-identify as veterans because they believe if they did not fire a weapon in combat, well, they're not a veteran. And so each group of veterans has a different influencing group. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's a combination of both. And so our role is to reach out to them and prove that we have more benefits and services than our neighboring states, or especially those states that we compete with, such as Texas, because we're very similar economically. We don't have a state income tax. And so we want veterans from other states and their families to come to Florida. Florida has much to offer.
So, thank you. So if you take a look at this from an economic standpoint, many parts of Florida offer relatively low cost of living with comparably higher wages in many of the industries. We have a lot of federal contractors here. We have a lot of defense contractors, and that is something that we use to attract our veterans to our state, is the very equipment that you worked with in the military, you can now transition over and help build for future forces. So that's economically is one of the driving forces behind getting veterans here to Florida.
Greg, if I can follow, you mentioned the low cost of living and high wages. Can you tell me, or can you tell us about the industries that are growing in Florida and what kind of high wage jobs those are?
So the hottest in the area where I am is obviously aerospace, construction, manufacturing, and medical. As always, we have such a diverse group of people, diverse group of veterans in our state, that there's all different levels of medical need that is required. The VA can't handle all of it, and we have a lot of retirees that are non-veterans that come here. So that's a driving force for medical. Then you bring the people down. So we bring in jobs. We have companies that come here and they create 400 jobs. They then create more for construction. Construction goes up. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go through in Florida, there's new construction being built, new homes, and along with new homes, then you have new businesses that move in. So these larger businesses drive construction. They drive these smaller businesses to be able to come in. So when you look at defense contractors, let's face it, the federal government pays these defense contractors pretty good. And in order to attract the best talent from around the country and around the world, these defense contractors pay higher than average wages, which then creates a demand for higher end housing. And then that creates the demand for more services that can be available to those people who are earning those higher wages. So defense contractors, $100,000, $200,000 a year is not unheard of for that. You know, and there's not every industry is paying top wages, but those are the ones that, if you're interested in being here and making a good wage, the trades, construction, but all trades are paying very well in Florida.
How would you say that individuals that are transitioning out of the military can use their experience and fine-tune their skills? So,
you know, for all of the veterans in here, there's a world that you were in and the world you're going to be in. The world we're in as active duty service members is a world unto itself. We have our own language. We have our own interagency competition from one branch of service to the other. So, but when you get into the civilian world, it's not like that. So the things you can do to hone your skills is you go, and I really encourage everyone in here to contact your local career source, okay? We have 24 workforce regions with 100 career source offices throughout the state of Florida. For veterans, that is your greatest resource when you're looking for assistance with finding employment. They can help you hone your resume, convert it from military into English, as I like to say. Like I said, it's a different language. Teach you how to interview, how to prepare for an interview. Many of you, 20, 25 years in the military, the only interview you've ever done is to go before a board. You've never sat in front of a civilian employer and had an interview, and you honestly don't know what is the right thing and the wrong thing to say. So there's resume preparation, resume revision. There are advocates in those offices that are there just for veterans. Their sole purpose for going to work every day is to find veterans jobs and change lives. That's why they're there. So those are the resources you have, but those skills you have, they can help you translate those skills into what civilian employers are looking for. You don't have to hone them, you just have to translate them into what civilian employers understand. You need to take your leadership position and translate it into supervisor or manager. You need to take that you're responsible for millions of dollars in equipment into something that can be that a civilian employer can understand. So it's not really a honing of the skills, it's translating those skills.
So just making sure everybody is talking the same language.
What's that, I'm sorry?
Just making sure everybody is talking the same language.
Yes.
Wonderful. Terry, can you describe Enterprise Florida, specifically the Defense Alliance, and what it does to benefit the military community?
Absolutely. So Enterprise Florida is the state's economic development company, and so we have three kind of main focuses. One is on international trade, one is on business development writ large, so bringing companies to Florida, and then in Tallahassee office is military and defense programs is our primary effort there. My job is to preserve, protect, and enhance our 20 major military installations across the state. All of us who've been in the military for quite a while have heard of BRAC. So this organization was kind of brought out during BRAC to protect Florida's installations. What a lot of Floridians don't know, and some of you even in the military might know, is we have 20 major military installations in the state. This goes back to a little bit of what's great to be in Florida as a veteran, is you're probably not very far from an installation, so if you want to stay connected to an installation, you can. In those defense communities, the Defense Alliance is a overarching volunteer organization, part of EFI, that helps bring up all of those issues that happen in defense communities that support the installations and brings them back to us so that we can take them largely before the Florida Defense Support Task Force that has a budget and a grant program to help facilitate fixing those issues around those installations. So they could be all kinds of different quality of life issues, or even specific things that make sure that base can keep its mission going so that if another BRAC happens, we don't lose that base, such as encroachment around installations. All of you who did missions at military bases know that if all of a sudden you get a building right off the end of the runway, that can be a problem. So we support the several Florida programs that support and defend the boundaries of those installations so they can continue to do their mission. So more than just veterans, my office and the FDA, the Florida Defense Alliance, is focused on maintaining those installations in the state. I gave some of these, or put some of these out by the registration area. If you haven't got one, this looks at the economic impact of our military and defense programs in the state of Florida, $96.6 billion in 2020. We are the biggest industry in the state of Florida, those 20 installations and all that money that comes in for it. In 2020, what do we remember about that year? Is COVID. We always fight over who's number one with the tourism. In 2020, they went 50% down, we went up. Why? Because we are resilient. So anyway, I think that's important, and that's what I focus on in the day-to-day, and the Florida Defense Alliance focuses on.
Great, thank you. Samantha, you participated in the Veterans Florida Agriculture Program. Can you tell us about your experience and what advice you would give to veterans interested in agriculture?
Yes, it was an experience, that's for sure. I definitely enjoyed my time. I was in the Gulf Coast Research Education Center, which is a farm in Wimauma, Florida, about 30 miles south of Tampa, Florida, in the middle of nowhere, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I learned so much in my 6-month fellowship there. I started with absolutely 0% education on agriculture at all. I killed everything that I ever bought from the plant nursery, and now I have about 15 live plants, so they definitely taught me a lot of things. I started out with the farm crew, doing lots of hard labor and just experiencing what it really means to help run a farm on that scale. And then I did rotations throughout their labs. I was lucky enough to be able to pick my labs, so I did horticulture, I did plant pathology, weeds lab, which is weed science, and then I also finished with entomology, bugs. And I got a little taste of everything. I experienced networking events, Strawberries Growers Association, and I also went to the state fair for entomology, helped teach little kids all about mosquitoes and cockroaches, and definitely lots of little creepy crawlers. But it was everything that I didn't expect. I learned so much. I thought working on a farm or running a farm meant, tilling the ground, putting some seeds down, watering them, and then waiting for it to grow, and you just go and pick it. But it's so much more than that, and they helped me understand that it takes experience. It takes more than 6 months gardening in your backyard to be able to run a farm on that scale. My goal with the program was to help me understand where I wanted to go in agriculture. I think it's important for us to know where our food comes from and have a connection to our food. And it only helped better my understanding of where my food is coming from and what they're doing. I worked with one of the scientists that created the white strawberry. I'm sure some of you guys have seen in the grocery markets. So it was just amazing to see the kind of science that's going behind the produce that I'm seeing on the shelves that I'm eating. And it was amazing. It was a lot of hard work. Don't expect to go in and just, stand by the sides. They expect you to pick up a shovel and help dig the irrigation trench. They definitely expect you to also look at a microscope and count bugs. So there was so many things that I experienced in 6 months that helped me grow and helped me understand where I wanted to take my agriculture career. And I appreciate every opportunity it afforded me.
Sounds like a really great program.
It is, absolutely.
Thank you. Alex, can you tell us about your SkillBridge program and how it helped ease your transition? And if you have any advice that you would share with someone interested in aviation?
Sure. I also had a great experience at Legends. They rolled me in and allowed me, if you're in aviation and as a pilot, getting hours is the name of the game. So they rolled me right in. They gave me a few students. I was able to gain more experience just instructing, and I was able to acquire a lot of hours, at least 300 hours while I was there. They also exposed me to their cargo operation, their 135 operations, so they gave me a little taste of other things in aviation. In fact, on the first day, I remember the mechanic, the A&P mechanic, they were having some issues, and he's like, hey, can you help me just hold something? And I went out there and I was holding the parts of what goes around the engine for him while he was turning wrenches, right? So that was a good experience for me, something I've never done before, so that was good exposure. Now, like I said, I was hired by Legends, and now I'm a first officer, so it all worked out great for me. What I would recommend for people who want to go into aviation, right, just like I said, it doesn't have to be a pilot. You could be a mechanic. You can be air traffic control. There's a lot of things that go into making an airplane go in the air. But for those DoD members coming out of the military, I would say start looking 2 years out and figuring out what type of job you want in aviation, and then find a program in the DoD SkillBridge site and contact that POC. From there, once you get a hold of them, then ask them the right questions. What do you want to know about the program? For me, it turned out great. I had already been stationed at Patrick Air Force Base, so once I talked to the POC, I just, hey, can I visit your facility? And the next week, I rolled up in their facility, and they gave me a tour. He briefed me into the plan, what goes into the training plan, and 6 months later, I showed up ready to work, or ready to intern, I should say.
Great, thank you. Greg, could you tell us the role that the Department of Economic Opportunity and Career Source play in assisting veterans and service members find careers?
Sure. So the Department of Economic Opportunity oversees a grant called the Jobs for Veterans State Grant, which is money funded to each of the individual states through the Department of Labor. And it goes all the way down to the local level, down to the individual career source center level. And in those offices, the program itself has two facets. So we have DVOPs, which are Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialists. Their job is to work with our veteran population and get them job ready, resumes, these other things I was talking about when we were talking about honing skills. So their resumes, clothing, overcoming barriers, not just barriers like service-connected disabilities, but barriers of transportation, background issues, homelessness, all of these barriers they can overcome. That's their job, to get that veteran job ready. And they will work with you for as long as needed to get that done. And within their scope are more resources they have available to them to be able to refer you to for additional assistance. Once you're job ready, Then there's the other half of this program are the leavers, local veteran employment representatives. Their sole purpose for coming to work every single day is to advocate on behalf of veterans to all of our local employers. They go out face to face with your resume in their hand and talk to employers and put that veteran resume in the hand of an employer that gives you that boost, that step up. They build relationships with employers to advocate on behalf of the veterans. So that is the primary role of the Veterans Program and what the Veterans Program does within the Career Source Center. Now, if you're from out of state, you have these veterans representatives. They're called DVOPs, they're called leavers in every state. Your career centers will be called something different. But here in Florida, it's Career Source, 24 regions, 100 offices. The resources are out there for you.
Great, thank you. Steve, Florida has a number of unique benefits for veterans. What are some of the few that really stand out for you, and how can veterans connect to your agency?
Well, like many of you, you can get lost trying to figure out where to go. There are so many organizations out there, not-for-profits and government organizations that have veterans in the titles or provide veteran services, and you're just not sure what to do or where to go. And so each state and territory has, as I mentioned before, a State Department of Veterans Affairs. We have within our agency outreach specialists. We call them Veterans Claims Examiners, and we train and accredit them annually in the latest state and federal benefits. And by Florida statute, they are all wartime veterans because, frankly, we like to speak with fellow veterans who better understand our needs, wants, and desires, and those of our spouses as well. And we also partner with our county veteran service officers. These are county employees, but we train and accredit them annually as well. And they're also in your communities. And they are also, by statute, wartime veterans. So between the counties and the state government, we have outreach specialists out there, to include in the room next door behind you, who want to connect you with services. As I mentioned before, we don't like to duplicate federal benefits, so you won't find any state medical centers or state outpatient clinics here. What you will find is a network of 9 state veteran nursing homes for our aging veterans, and they're scattered all throughout the state from the Panhandle down to Pembroke Pines in the Miami area. But our other chartered by statute is outreach. We are the outreach specialists, and so we put out an annual guide, the Florida Veterans Benefits Guide, and I've got some at the table in the room behind you. Also have a Veterans Claims Examiner here with me, and we'll be here tomorrow as part of the Expo. But understand that there are people. We've got websites and social media. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, heavy on Twitter, trying to legislate things on your behalf. It's amazing the kind of things that we've done to close the gaps in earned benefits and services by such as collegiate veterans associations coming to Tallahassee and saying, hey, you know, we're having to pay out-of-state tuition for some of these earned benefits. Can you help us for all categories of veterans and spouses and dependents using the post-9/11 GI Bill and other GI Bill programs to always have in-state tuition? And we got that through the legislature several years ago. Early course registration, college credit for military experience. Many military members have professional accreditation in their specific MOS or AFSC, and we want to give those veterans credit for that. Lots of licensure fee waivers and license waivers, understanding, and Terry, you know, is focused heavily on the military spouse community, understanding that that often is a transiting community, but we want them, once that military service is over, to come back to the Sunshine State. We want them in the Sunshine State. So we've got to, you know, close those gaps, and we've done a lot of good things over the years, but it's up to you. We want to hear from you phone, email, or just see us outside. If you see a gap in a service or a program or something that would benefit you or someone else, we want to hear about that.
Thank you. So I just wanted to let you have any closing remarks or anything that maybe I didn't ask you that you thought you'd like to share with the crowd. And if not, that if anybody has any questions, we'll be available to talk afterwards unless the panel wants to. But thank you so much. Oh,
I'll be here all week. Come see us.
I think that the overarching theme is Florida appreciates and understands the benefits of having our military and our veterans here. And our businesses understand that, our enterprises understand that. You are an asset to our community, and we are all here in one capacity or another to support you and to ensure that you transition happily, that you are healthy, and that you can support your families and our community. So thank you.